Hello and welcome back to day 20 of my 30-day vlogging challenge. The topic for today is about the best age to retire. Why I'm talking about that is because last week I actually met up with an old friend for coffee. This old friend of mine was I think it's about 59 years old or 60 years old. And as we chatted, I realized that he is still aggressively saving for his retirement. I was wondering why, because ultimately he's almost 60 and he probably has another 4 or 5 years left in his career. Right? So I actually shared with him this concept about the best age to retire. A couple of months or a couple of years ago, I started thinking about retirement, right? And I was wondering when would be the best time to retire. So what I did was I actually mapped out three elements. One, I would say the energy level that we have, the time element we have, and the money element that we have. If you notice, if you map it out, you realize there's actually a specific window where it actually becomes the best time to retire. Now take a look at the diagram that I have here. The first one you have is actually what I call the blue line, and the blue line actually represents our energy level. If you notice that our energy level starts out high and then it diminishes slowly as we age, right? Which is natural, right? When you're young, you have a lot of energy. You get older, your energy diminishes, and there comes a point where you have no energy, even if you want to do something. The next element, if you look on the chart, is what I call the orange line. This orange line represents our time dimension. And you notice it's actually a U-shape or rather inverted V. When we start out young and we are young children or we are babies and so on, we have plenty of time on our hands, right? We have nothing to do. And of course, if we start working along our careers and so on, time becomes more scarce. We have little time for our own activities. But you notice after a while, when you start to so-called retire or retirement, you have plenty of time again. So it's actually an inverted V. The third dimension actually I have is what I call the green line or the money line. This is the opposite of your time. If you notice, it starts out low. Of course, when we're young, we're not working, we don't have much money. And it increases as we continue along our careers. Right? And it reaches a peak. And of course, at the peak, after a while, when you retire, the income drops. So actually, it's an inverted V. What I did was I mapped it out. And if you notice the so-called the grayed out blue area there, there's actually an ideal window for us to retire. Right? And to me, I've identified this as the age of 55 to 60. At this age, you have money, you have energy, and you, of course, if you want to, you can have the time. So I shared this with my friend that actually, although he's a bit late because he's about nearing his 60s, but I think it's not too late. He still has the energy if he wants to, and so he just needs to make the time to actually start enjoying a retirement lifestyle. And of course, he needs to start spending his money. Right? To me, there's no point constantly saving until you reach the age of, say, 75 or even 80, where you don't have even the energy to go out. Then what's the point of having all that money? Right? So money is actually a means to an end, and it's actually for us to actually enjoy our life. So with that, I hope I gave you something to think about. If you're wondering when's the best time to retire, my idea is that it's the best time to start retirement living is between the age of 55 and 60.